What's up everybody, Emerald Void here, welcoming you to this video tutorial, another EDO Pro how to edit tutorial. This one's going to be the action icon, basically whenever you can, whenever you do something that prompts you to, be able to summon something from your extra deck. There's normally a little spinning circle that indicates, hey, you can summon something from your extra deck, and it normally looks like this. It's just a little circular thing, and it just kind of spins in place. And I'm going to show you how to edit that today. Actually, was asked by a user by the name of Connor on one of the previous EDO Pro videos if I could do this video, and I'm going to try my best. Connor, thanks for submitting your question in the comment section. Hope this helps you out. So I will have the dimensions on screen as always, but they are, I should have been more prepared. They are 134 by 134, so it's pretty small. It does normally not look like this. I put the black background on there where I could see what I was doing because it's very hard to see on a transparent background. So I'm going to do two examples. One is just going to be a very cut and dry example. One is going to be me trying out something of my own and experimenting and seeing if it works. So I think what I want to do is I want a polygon tool with no fill and just a stroke. And we'll just do white. And we're just going to draw that little octagon. And then we are going to shrink that down to the appropriate dimensions, like so. And that would technically be considered done if you wanted to rotate it, which I kind of do. Actually, let's go back a few steps and just rotate it before we actually... So let's go ahead and rotate. Sometimes holding shift, it still gets a little lopsided, so you kind of have to hold shift to get it as close as you can, and then you might have to fine tune it without holding shift. So yeah, that looks pretty good. We're just going to trim it up on the sides, and that is it. Maybe also put a check mark in there. Actually, yeah, let's put the check mark in there. The only thing about putting anything in this, if it's not a basic shape or a shape that, if it's not something that's pretty close to the original, it's going to spin because it's animated in the software. So it might look a little weird, but we're going to use this arrow here, and we're going to make a new layer. And I am going to put the arrow like that. I am actually going to change that arrow to green, like so. It didn't work, but we can fix that here in a minute. Let's just put that right there. Go to our blending options. And with the thing about the blending options, I always talk about it because it's probably one of the most used tools that I have, that I literally use frequently. I use the blending options quite a bit. So that is pretty much what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with this for now. I'm going to, it was not, the one thing that I would probably do realistically is I would like to redo that polygon. I dropped shit on my mouse and it minimized it. I would like to redo that polygon actually. So let's do the same thing that we did. Go over here, pick the polygon tool, change that to like 8. Let's do that. Let's do it at 8 pixels. And let's do one of those. And then just like before, kind of help use the, there we go. And that actually looks a lot better than the last one. So then I just stretch it to fit the dimensions. And I mean, it looks a little elongated, and I think that's literally just because it's the dimensions of the square. We could actually make this arrow a smidge bigger and move it right there. So yeah, this is the very cut and dry version. That's just a shape. So we're going to go File. We're going to go Save As. We are going to save on your computer. The name of the file is ACT, is the name of the thing. I guess it stands for action. And just like always, we're going to right click on it. We're going to rename it. And in parentheses, we're going to put it as a 1. And then we're going to save this as ACT and large. All right, so I will see you guys here in just a second in EDO Pro, and I'll show you what this looks like. Okay, so here we are in the game. I just kind of fast forwarded through all of that. But here's our little icon indicating that we have something that we can do in our extra deck. So when we click over here, we can go to Special Summon, and this is all the things that we can grab from our extra deck. I don't really particularly care. But yeah, and then it's still showing, you know, that we can do more. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to go back into Photoshop. I'm going to make a custom one that is a little bit bigger, and I'm going to do this little experiment and give you guys a few more little pointers on maybe some stuff that you could use for your own custom ones. Back in a second. Okay, so here we are back in Photoshop. The original dimensions of that was 134 by 134. I still have the original one, the ACT, open. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to Image. I'm going to go down to Canvas Size, and I'm going to change it to pixels. And it's 134 by 134. We're going to try 250. We're going to start small and go 250 by 250. We're going to delete that layer. We're going to delete that layer. We'll make a new layer that we're going to put on the bottom. And when I'm working with stuff like this in EDO Pro, what I like to do is I always like to have a background that has a dark layer, such as this just plain black, just so I can kind of see, because without it, it's like you can kind of see, but with the white on white of the transparency, it's kind of hard to see. So I always normally make a black background. So we've got our polygon and we've got our arrow, but let's not use a polygon. Let's not use the arrow. Let's use something completely different. So let's go back to custom shapes and let's see if there's any cool custom shapes that we would want. I like this. It looks like a cherry blossom tree. Let's go with that, and let's make it white so it's easy to see on this black background. But let's ooh, that's really hard to see. Let's draw the custom shape like so. Let's move it to the center. And it's really hard to see. It's got a lot of intricate detail that doesn't work in that small space. So let's go back and try to find something else. Let's take this triangle sign as the first part. Let's set it there. It is still set to be excuse me, set to be just a stroke, but that is fine because we can always, I think, fill that in later. Actually, we could probably just fill it in now. So let's go ahead and rasterize the layer. Let's take our bucket and fill that in. We may have to do some tidying up because you can see a little bit of that. Let's just do that from the beginning and change the settings. So let's change that back to white, change the stroke to nothing, and let's draw our triangle. There we go. And now do the same thing as before. I'm holding shift as I do this because I'm not wanting the exact. There we go. Now what I want to do is I want to go back to custom shapes. I want to grab something for the background to go in the middle of that shape. Let's try. Let's take this hollow circle here. Let's make it black and let's hold shift. Let's draw that circle like that. Let's it's really hard to see. Let's turn the triangle off and let's try to get this. I think right there would be good. I'm going to rasterize this layer, mainly because I'm kind of just using it as a template to cut a perfect circle. So right there. So what I'm going to do is with my circle layer selected, I'm going to select my magic wand tool. I'm going to click in the middle of the circle. I'm going to go back to my sign and I'm going to press delete. Okay, so I made a mistake. So we have to rasterize the, since we're pretty much not paste layer style. That's having technical difficulties here. Need to rasterize the layer. Go back to your circle, select your magic wand, click the circle, go back to your sign, click delete, take your circle, and then you're going to go to blending options with your circle. And what I like to do is I'm going to add a drop shadow, and I'm going to add a color overlay. I'm going to make it green. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to go to the triangle here, blending options. I'm also going to set a drop shadow for that as well. And then I'm going to set a, let's go with a gradient overlay. I like that yellow, but that's not really what I'm looking for. Let's just add another gradient overlay. Let's keep the yellow one. That is getting close, but what I want is I want it to start at a really dark gray and go into a, I was going to click OK. Then I want it to go into a lighter gray like so. Say OK, and then we want that reversed. Now that looks okay. We might need to change. Let's see, just try -90. That's pretty much the same thing as just reversing it, I believe. That looks okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then I'm going to Control-Shift-New and make a new layer. I'm going to drag that layer to the top. I've got one more custom shape that I want to add on top of this. And it is this like neutron looking, like you see it in a lot of science movies kind of deal. This atom thing. Let's turn that off so we can see what we're doing. And you could make it to fit inside this circle if you wanted to, but I'm just kind of wanting it over. We're going to go back to the circle thin. We're going to copy the layer styles. We're going to paste them on this. That's the wrong one. We want to copy the sign is what we want to copy. Mainly because I'm lazy and I didn't want to get too sidetracked on the blending options here. Really, if you want to, there we go. And then maybe add a stroke to that. Add like a one pixel black stroke. All right, so there is our new graphic. It's just something that I made up on the fly because I wanted to test out a theory that I had. So let's go to File. Let's go to Save As. Back to what I was saying about blending options. When you're in blending options and you don't know what something does, duplicate your layers and then go experiment. And nothing. And I mean, even if you quote unquote mess up something, you can just reset the default. You can reset it back to default and just start over. So don't be afraid to go into blending options and just experiment, because that's how you're going to learn how to do stuff, is by experimenting. So I'm going to cut until we're need to be. All right, and there is our custom symbol. It looks a little derpy because I think the reason why they made it those dimensions is because it is clipping into the field a little bit. And I mean, maybe a triangle is not the best thing to spin, but if you did want to experiment with the size a little bit more, you could. But I think 250 by 250 is just a little bit big. Maybe 150 by 150, or even 200 by 200, and something that doesn't have a lot of edges. Maybe that's the key. I don't really know, but that's going to be it for the video, guys. I really hope that this helped you out. If you liked the video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know down in the comment section below what else you want to see me try and edit with EDO Pro. I'm Emerald Void, and before I go, I've just got one question for you. Are you feeling nostalgic yet?